What the mind of man can conceive and believe, it can achieve. Do you truly believe that? Because if that statement sounds exaggerated to you, that's precisely why it's true. Think with me. What if I told you that absolutely no one is better than you? That the only real barrier between you and success is the image you have of yourself? Sounds bold, doesn't it? But it's exactly this way of thinking that separates those who win from those who merely watch others' victories. Have you ever felt trapped in a cycle where it seems you're always trying, but never truly moving forward? Where every step ahead is accompanied by doubt, fear, and that inner voice saying, maybe this isn't for me? Well, that's precisely where the secret lies, separating the few who reach the top from the vast majority who only dream of it. Napoleon Hill discovered, after 2 decades studying the greatest geniuses and millionaires of his time, that the true starting point of all achievement is not talent, nor luck, nor money. It is burning desire. Not the shallow kind of desire everyone has when they say, I want to be rich or I want to be successful, but a desire so intense that it consumes your thoughts, robs you of sleep, makes your heart beat faster, and transforms a wish into a necessity. The vast majority of people confuse wanting with desiring. Wanting is something light, fleeting, conditioned by circumstances. Truly desiring is something visceral, an inner fire that doesn't extinguish even when everything seems to conspire against you. Hill observed this in every man he interviewed, and one of the most impressive examples is that of Thomas Edison. Before creating the electric light bulb, Edison failed more than 1,000 times. 1,000 attempts that, for anyone else, would be 1,000 reasons to give up. But he continued, and when asked why he hadn't quit, he replied simply, I have not failed 1,000 times. I have just found 1,000 ways that won't work. Edison had something most people don't, a will so powerful to bring his vision to fruition that no failure, no criticism, and no obstacle was big enough to stop him. And it was this same flame that ignited within Napoleon Hill when he met Andrew Carnegie. At that time, Hill was just a poor young journalist without contacts or prospects. But at that meeting, everything changed. Carnegie proposed an audacious task: to spend 20 years interviewing America's most successful men and discover the universal principles that led someone from poverty to greatness. There was, however, one condition. He would not receive a single cent for it. Any rational person would have refused. But Hill, driven by an inner force he himself might not have fully understood at the time, accepted. And it was this decision, made without guarantees, that not only transformed his own life, but also those of millions of people worldwide. And you? Have you ever wondered what truly moves you? What would make you get out of bed even if no one was watching? Even if there were no applause, even if there were no reward? Most people live their entire lives without ever discovering this. They follow safe paths, do what is expected, fulfill roles they were taught to fulfill, and in the end wonder why they never felt that sense of purpose, that certainty that they were living something grand. The answer lies in desire, when you find what you truly want, not what the world says you should want, but what your soul silently screams for. Something changes. It's as if a spark ignites within you, and from then on, the impossible begins to seem like just a matter of time. This is exactly what Hill called the starting point of all achievement. The moment when the will to win becomes stronger than the fear of losing. And here's a point few understand. Inspiration does not precede action. It is a consequence of deep desire. People wait to feel motivated to start, when in fact they should start to feel motivated. It is burning desire that awakens energy, not the other way around. When you connect with something that truly matters, you no longer need motivation. You only need time, because the flame within you will not let you rest until it becomes real. Think of how many times you've given up on something because it seemed too difficult. How many times you abandoned a dream because it seemed not the right time. How many ideas were never put into practice because you heard someone say it was too risky. All of this is a symptom of the lack of a burning desire. Because those who truly desire don't ask if it's the right time. They create the moment. Napoleon Hill used to say that great visionaries in any field, whether in business, arts, sports, or science, all had one thing in common. an idea so powerful that they simply could not ignore it. This idea called to them, unsettled them, made them move forward even when everything else was crumbling. And it is exactly this energy that separates those who live an extraordinary life from those who live trapped in mediocrity. If at this moment you feel you don't have that flame within you, don't blame yourself. This doesn't mean it doesn't exist, only that it hasn't been discovered yet. Take a piece of paper, a pen, and ask yourself a simple question. What would I do for the rest of my life even if I were never paid for it? Write without censorship, without thinking if it's feasible, if it's logical, or if it seems foolish. Keep writing until something inside you starts to vibrate, until the simple act of imagining gives you goosebumps. When that happens, know that you have just found the first sign of your true burning desire. From that point on, your journey changes completely. Because when desire is real, it gives you a strength you didn't even know you had. It makes you study when no one is watching, work when everyone else is resting, persist when everything seems lost. It transforms every obstacle into fuel and every failure into a lesson. And when the world tries to convince you that it's impossible, desire is the voice that whispers, "Try one more time." Have you noticed that every human being dreams, but few truly believe? Most imagine a better life, but deep down they don't believe they are capable of achieving it. This is where the true turning point lies: belief. Napoleon Hill said, "What the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But notice, the secret is not in dreaming, it's in believing. Almost everyone can imagine a successful future, but few sustain faith when things start to go wrong. What differentiates the winner is unwavering self-confidence, even when everything around them crumbles. Science has already proven this. The American Psychological Association published a study on a concept called self-efficacy, created by psychologist Albert Bandura. He discovered that people who believe in their own ability to accomplish something have greater persistence, overcome more obstacles, and achieve superior results, even when they are not the most talented or the best prepared. In other words, believing is more important than knowing. Henry Ford is a living example of this. When he announced that he would create an affordable car for the common person, critics laughed at him. At that time, automobiles were luxuries for millionaires, but Ford was not intimidated. He believed so much in his vision that he worked for years in secret, until he created the Model T, the car that not only transformed the market, but revolutionized the way the world moved. And it all began with one conviction: the certainty that he could. Napoleon Hill experienced the same phenomenon of faith against logic. During the Great Depression, he went through one of the most difficult periods of his life. He starved, lost his wife, and almost gave up writing his book. Many said no one would buy a book on success while the country plunged into crisis. And yet, he persisted. He continued to believe even when reality screamed otherwise. The result of that perseverance was Think and Grow Rich, a book that would forever change the destiny of millions of people around the world. But what makes someone keep believing when everything goes wrong? The answer lies in the decision to choose faith instead of fear. Hill explained that the human mind is like a mirror. It reflects into the outside world the image you hold within yourself. If you see yourself as weak, insecure, or unworthy, the world will respond with closed doors and lost opportunities. But if you act with confidence even before you have concrete proof that it will work, something changes. Life seems to respond differently. People begin to listen to you, ideas take shape, and opportunities that once seemed invisible begin to emerge. The problem is that most people condition their belief on the outcome. They say, "I'll believe when things start to go well." But it's the opposite. Things only start to go well after you believe. It is faith that opens the way, not the result that confirms faith. The human brain, when it believes in something deeply, begins to operate in a different mode. It changes its behavior, increases its creativity, elevates its focus, and reduces fear. This is the basis of the placebo effect, studied for decades. When the mind believes, the body and behavior follow that belief. And that is why fear and doubt are the greatest thieves of destiny. They don't kill the dream all at once, but slowly corrode your confidence until you yourself give up. How many times have you sabotaged yourself by thinking it wasn't the right time? How many opportunities have you let slip away because you believed you weren't good enough? Think of how many times you've seen people less talented than you achieve greater results. It wasn't luck, it was belief. They acted with the conviction that they were capable, and that conviction made the world make way. Hill knew that fear would always be present, and that the secret was not to eliminate it, but to move forward despite it. When no one else believed, he repeated his affirmations of faith to himself until those words became stronger than despair. He understood that believing is a daily choice, not a fleeting feeling. Because faith is not born ready. It is cultivated every day, in every small step you take, even without guarantees. True confidence is not the absence of fear. It is action amidst uncertainty. It is looking to the future and saying, "I don't see the path yet, but I know I will find it." This very attitude is what separates great achievers from the rest of the people. Self-faith is the invisible energy that drives movement. Without it, desire dies, motivation fades, and dreams turn into memories. Therefore, believe before you see. Believe even when no one else does. Repeat to yourself, "I am capable. I was born to win." At first it will sound strange, perhaps even false. But if you persist, the mind begins to believe, the body begins to react, and little by little, the world starts to align with what you feel. This is how winners are formed, not because they had guarantees, but because they had faith. Napoleon Hill used to say that faith is the starting point of all riches, and fear is man's greatest enemy. When you feed belief, you attract possibilities. When you feed fear, you multiply limits. The choice is in your hands every day. And the great irony is that believing costs nothing, but not believing can cost you your entire life. But there is something few understand. The environment is not just a group of people you talk to. It is also the set of stimuli you allow into your mind. Every negative comment, every criticism disguised as concern, every "if I were you, I wouldn't do that," is like a seed planted in the soil of your mind. And if you don't watch out, these seeds take root. They grow and take the place of your own beliefs, your dreams, and your ambition. Over time, you begin to think small, to conform, to believe that that's just how it is. And without realizing it, you start living a life you didn't choose, but one shaped by the mental pattern of the people around you. A Harvard University study published in 2009 proved something Hill had been saying decades earlier. Emotions and behaviors are contagious. If you live among negative, complaining people, or those who constantly talk about lack and scarcity, your brain adapts to that pattern. It starts to understand that this is normal. But if you surround yourself with people who think big, who talk about progress, ideas, solutions, your brain begins to operate on a completely different level. It's as if it says, "This is where I belong, this is what I can be." Think for an instant about the 5 people you spend the most time with. What do they talk about when they are with you? Do they inspire you or drain you? Do they make you dream bigger or constantly remind you of risks and fears? Because whether you like it or not, you are becoming their average. Your mindset, your thought pattern, and even your level of ambition are directly influenced by those around you. And if you continue to be around those who don't believe, you will start to doubt yourself too. Napoleon Hill experienced this firsthand during the years he wrote Think and Grow Rich. Amidst poverty and difficulties, he realized he needed to stay connected with people who made him believe that the effort was worthwhile. He met with entrepreneurs, writers, and investors, not to ask for money, but to listen to ideas, fuel his clarity, and strengthen his spirit. That's how he pulled himself up when circumstances dragged him down. If he had listened to the pessimists, perhaps that book would never have been written. The influence of the environment is so powerful that even the silence of those around you can shape you. Sometimes it's not what they say, but what they don't say. The look of disdain when you share a dream, the ironic smile when you talk about something grand, all of this slowly erodes your confidence. And the most dangerous part is that it happens subtly until you begin to limit yourself. And if you don't find the right people around you now, start by creating the environment within yourself. Feed your mind with ideas that challenge you, eliminate what demeans you, Respectfully distance yourself from those who live on the frequency of scarcity. You don't need confrontation, just boundaries. And as you move forward, new relationships will begin to emerge because people who seek growth recognize each other as if they had a secret language. The choice is simple yet powerful. Either you shape your environment or your environment shapes you. This is one of the oldest and most ignored laws of success. And in the end, what will determine where you get to is not just how much you believe in yourself, but also who is by your side when doubt appears. How many opportunities have you lost because you hesitated? How many times was the chance right there, in front of you, and yet something inside prevented you from acting? This is one of life's greatest tragedies, the paralysis of indecision. Napoleon Hill observed while studying hundreds of the most successful men in the United States that they all had one common characteristic: the ability to decide quickly and change their minds slowly. While most people spend hours, days, or even years pondering, asking for opinions, waiting for the right moment, great achievers simply act. They understand that hesitation costs dearly. Time is merciless to those who don't decide. And the truth is that the ideal moment that so many people wait for never arrives. There will always be something open, an uncertainty, a reason to postpone. But those who reach the top know that clarity does not come before action, it comes after. It is action that reveals the path. It is movement that brings confidence. Hill discovered this at the most decisive moment of his life, when Andrew Carnegie put him to the test. Carnegie wanted to know if that young journalist had the profile of great successful men. So he made him a proposal to dedicate 20 years of his life to studying and documenting the laws of success without any guarantee of reward. And there was a detail. Hill had to answer immediately. No time to think, no asking for advice, no calculating risks. Carnegie knew that opportunities rarely knock twice. He believed that whoever hesitated in the face of a great chance would never lead something grand. Hill accepted immediately, unaware that this decision would shape the entire history of modern personal development. If he had delayed his response, Carnegie would have offered the proposal to another young man, and perhaps the world would never have heard of Napoleon Hill. This story carries a powerful lesson. Deciding is an act of courage, and courage is the first step of transformation. Indecision is an invisible prison, an illusion of security that keeps you stagnant. While you think, life goes on. While you calculate, others are already acting, and those who act learn, grow, make mistakes, adjust, and advance. Hill used to say that the indecisive lie waiting for a permission that will never come, the permission to take risks, and the price of that is high, regret for all that could have been. Neuroscience explains this phenomenon. When the brain is faced with a choice, it activates the alert system, responsible for protecting us from danger. But this system does not distinguish between a real threat and emotional discomfort. In other words, when you feel afraid to make an important decision, your brain reacts as if your very survival were at risk. And it is precisely at this point that the great ones stand out. They learn to act even with fear. They train their minds to associate action with progress and not with danger. History is full of examples of this. During the Great Depression, while millions waited for the economy to recover, a few made bold decisions. They invested, created, reinvented themselves, and it was precisely these people who built fortunes when chaos seemed to reign. They understood the principle that Hill taught: hesitation is the cradle of failure. Those who wait too long lose the rhythm of life. But deciding is not acting impulsively. It is consciously choosing the direction and trusting the process. It is understanding that imperfect action is infinitely more valuable than imagined perfection. How many brilliant ideas have been stuck in a drawer because someone waited for the perfect moment? How many projects died before they were born because someone wanted to eliminate all risks before taking the first step? The truth is that risk never disappears, but fear diminishes when you move. Hill stated that those who walk stumble, but those who stand still plant roots in failure. Indecision over time becomes a habit, and the habit of hesitating is the greatest thief of potential that exists. Each time you procrastinate, your brain learns that postponing is more comfortable than acting. And this pattern keeps repeating until courage seems impossible. Therefore, decision-making is daily training. It starts with small things, choosing without needing to confirm with others, giving an answer without waiting for all information, acting even with a racing heart. Life rewards those who move, and curiously, those who decide quickly make as many mistakes as those who delay, but they learn much more. Because error in motion teaches, while stagnant doubt destroys. Napoleon Hill proposed a simple, yet transformative exercise. For 3 days, decide quickly. No matter the size of the choice, what to wear, what to eat, what to answer. Do it without hesitation. Train your mind to associate decision with action. This small habit can rewire your brain, build momentum, and awaken a dormant power within you. For every decision, no matter how insignificant it may seem, is a declaration to the universe that you are ready to move forward. Ultimately, power lies not in knowing what to do, but in actually doing what you know. Successful individuals don't possess all the answers, but they do have the readiness to act before doubt can take root. Life will inevitably present moments of choice to test your courage. And when that moment arrives, remember Hill's lesson from Carnegie. Those who hesitate often lose their opportunity. The world belongs to those who make decisions. Success isn't reserved for a select few. It's earned by those who choose to believe in themselves, cultivate a burning desire, surround themselves with the right people, and take action even without guarantees. Life will constantly test your faith, your patience, and your courage, and it's precisely in these moments that a top-tier mindset truly reveals itself. Because those who choose to believe when no one else does, who decide to act when all others hesitate, are the ones who inevitably rise. And if you've made it this far, it means you've already taken a step beyond the majority. Now don't stop. The next video appearing on your screen is poised to help you climb yet another rung on this journey of wisdom and self-mastery. Watch it, and make today the day you become 1% better than you were yesterday. Thank you for being here. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.